Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. My name, of course, is Sean, and today's guest is Phreestyle. He is a rising rapper out of Syracuse, New York, by way of Los Angeles, California. We had an awesome chat on IGTV not too long ago. You can go ahead and check that out on our Instagram at Sensibly Cynical Pod. Right now, we talk about his debut EP of freestyle philosophy, Path to Purpose, who he thinks is the greatest rapper of all time, and much more. I know you will enjoy this one, so here it is, my chat with Phreestyle. So, Phreestyle, I appreciate you joining me today.
Hey, not a problem, man. I appreciate you having me on.
So talk about your beginning. It says you're from LA and you're in New York. That's quite the transition. How did you start in the game, man?
Honestly, you know what? We really, I dove in a year ago. And, you know, it's been a long time coming. I started out in, like I said, I was born and raised in Los Angeles. And I started writing back in maybe junior high school. You know, I've been writing songs and writing poetry since way back then. I came out to New York for college, right? And I ended up staying. You know, I got a job right after college, and you know, I had one of those big dream plans, like, oh, we're just gonna get a little job, and
like everybody,
we're gonna, we're just get a little job.
American dream, right?
Exactly. But then, you know, life took some turns after college, and I ended up, I began to, getting married, having a baby, and now I have, a couple beautiful daughters. And you know, when COVID hit, you know what I mean, that changed up a lot as it comes to, the day-to-day grind, and made me kind of reevaluate, how I was pursuing my career at the time. You know what I mean? It really made me kind of take a look at the bigger picture, and I took a leap of faith and said, you know what, let's do it. And, my right hand, Pepper Torres, she said she got me a Christmas gift of my first studio session last Christmas, and it's been a bullet train since then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
I got one taste of it, and we've been diving in.
Yeah, I noticed you because I'm friends with Natalie Ruby, and she was on the podcast, and because, when you're on social media, you're friends with just anybody, try to get a, no. But are you familiar with Natalie Ruby?
I've seen a few of her posts, and I've watched a couple of her lives, and I think she's pretty cool.
Yeah, she's on the podcast.
She's got some really good insight.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, scroll down. I think I saw your profile somewhere, and I was like, you know what, this guy seems kind of cool, and I like the song, and I appreciate you doing this, man.
Hey, not a problem, and I appreciate you listening, and I'm definitely glad you enjoy the music, man. We got more coming.
Yeah, this is kind of a newer endeavor for you, right? Talk about how you really started, like, performing lyrically,
Honestly, I feel like life kind of took over for me. I got so focused in the rat race of, chasing the check and trying to make sure I was getting enough to put food on the table for the kids, and I just never really, I guess I would say I was not ready to take the jump, not ready to take the risk on disrupting the stability. But after going through some tough stuff, man, like, going through a divorce, going through some job changes, the pandemic hit, and I said, you know what, if there's ever a time I'm going to take a leap and take a chance and try to make it happen, now would be it.
Yeah, man. Well, one of the lyrics on that song, Dreamin', really spoke to me, man. It says, life applies pressures, devours second guessers. You know what? That resonated with me, man. I mean, you didn't just say that. That must have hit home sometime, or talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. And that line actually is one of my favorites, really on the whole album, because that line really, it sums up what really a way I felt. I felt like because I had second guessed myself, because I hadn't taken that leap, that I was letting life chew me up, that all these stresses, I was letting all these stresses, the bills, relationship problems, I was letting all of that consume me. And I lost sight of my purpose in life. I lost sight of who I was as a person. Mm-hmm. And when I found that again, that's really where that line came from is this life is going to put pressure on you. And if you second guess yourself, that pressure is going to win. That pressure is going to take over. Yeah. You're not going to be able to see straight if you second guess yourself. You got to, trust that gut feeling sometimes.
Right. So talk about the whole EP. How long did it take to come through with the project,
Oh, well, that project is the energy and the words, the lyrics, the songs, that was a long time coming. I mean, some of the things that I put on that project, had been, years in the making in terms of writing the songs and processing the emotion behind it. And I really, with that project, my goal was just to do something and to almost like put myself through therapy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of just really confronting the things that I've been through, my own shortcomings and my own struggles, and being honest about what it took to get to where I am now, and what it took to get the courage to take a leap and to take the drive that I'm taking now to try to do what it is that I really love doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to articulate that in this first album. So not this Christmas that just passed, but the Christmas before was my first time in the studio.
Really?
So all the way up until then,
Wow.
it had all just been, writing, preparing. I had all these concepts, all this mountain of notebooks of things I wanted to do. But it wasn't until last Christmas that I took that first step of going, and, my girlfriend found us a studio. We went and did our first session. And
Yeah. I guess on the Come Up Mag, I saw that they got a hold of you. I see, you're trying to make some waves, right? You're making some waves.
We're trying to do the best we can. And I just really feel like if I focus on making quality music and putting my heart into what I'm making,
little podcast here will get you a little website will get you.
And honestly, I just feel like if I focus on creating the best music that I can and trying to stay true to the vision I have for the music, that all of the rest of it will fall into place. I feel like I will get, the right ears will hear it, and the right ears will love it. It will touch the right people. Because that's really my only goal with this, man, is making this music. I want someone to hear it, and I want them to be able to relate to it, be able to help them through something, or maybe give them something to lean on when they need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let's go back to, I guess, where you were raised, LA. So talk about your beginnings. Like, were you spitting bars back then, or talk about the scene in LA?
Actually, when I did do, we did some, we used to do like performance arts on campus in high school. That's really kind of where we really kind of started doing stuff. And we worked with the administration. We were able to get like an on-campus day. So it was like every Wednesday and Friday we'd hop on stage at lunchtime, and we'd be able to do our little performance. And it's like me and a couple of my friends, we did like the high school table battles and stuff like that. And that's, so that was really where I kind of like doused myself in the love for it, just kind of finding my energy. And that was a fun time. That was just a fun time. You know what I mean? Just being a kid and not, just having fun with it.
Has it been hard getting connections, or talk about getting noticed? We were talking about a little bit about it earlier, but is it harder than you thought to get interest, or you're not even, like you said, I said something about you're not even like really worried about it, but I mean, let's be real, you need to get noticed, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and it's definitely tough. I feel like what I've learned is the toughest part of this whole thing is just getting the music out to people. It's just getting it to a place, just getting people to listen to it. That's been the toughest part. And I just feel like, to accomplish a big task, you got to turn it into small accomplishable goals. You know what I mean? So I just kind of turn it into small steps, and, we push the music as best we can, and we keep moving. We're making connections here and trying to, we're starting to do like open mics around here in the Syracuse area. And just, staying in that perpetual state of trying to get the music out and create music at the same time.
Do you got anything in the works?
Absolutely. I'm actually working with my producer, my Scotty in the seat, man, Mikey T, Michael Tavares at Subcat Studios. We're working on an EP called Alter Ego, and we got 3 songs done for it so far. Looking to do maybe 2 or 3 more, and we're gonna put that out hopefully early 2022. Just did a remix to a song of his as well that's gonna be coming out in January, and I am working on the second album still. And that's probably going to be more in the springtime that I'm looking to release my second album, my full second album.
How has COVID impacted the start here? Like, has it been start, stop, or you just been plugging through?
It's definitely kind of been a little bit of a start, stop, but just in terms of being able to go to the studio to do the work. So I have just been trying to stay in a perpetual state of writing and getting things prepared so that when we have opportunities to go to the studio to get the work done, we can be more efficient. But, kind of been having to bend and lean with the COVID wave and the restrictions that it has brought in, you know what I mean? But we're just trying to stay positive. Me and the team is all optimistic, and we just try to keep working,
Grinding, man. I like that song, Grinding. Talk about that song.
Exactly.
Talk about that song.
Oh man,
it's self-explanatory. It says it probably 100 times in that song. I'm just kidding, but talk about that, man. Was it just like a motivator, kind of like you're talking to yourself?
That song right there is really. That's like the spirit animal of the album. You know what I mean? That's like that energy of gritting your teeth and saying, you know what, there's nothing out there that can keep me from attaining what I'm after. You know, it doesn't matter what you throw, doesn't matter how you
bring it on. Yeah, I got you.
We're after it. Exactly. That's the champ before the war. You know what I mean? And that was one of my best days in the studio. That was a session I'll definitely never forget, for sure.
Are you one of those people like perfectionists, like you just kept drilling the same, or are you just letting it just go?
I'm kind of like a double-edged sword as it comes to that. So on the side of creating and recording, I'm not as much of a stickler. I really like to let the wings fly, be experimental, try things out. I always come to the studio prepared. So, it doesn't take us that long to get the recordings in because I'm always prepared with the stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm a super stickler when it comes to the mixing and mastering process. So once we've got all the recordings down and we're crafting it into the final version, I'm very, very nitpicky about that. So like some of these songs like Grinding, for instance, went through anywhere from 5 to 10 mixes where I was like, oh, I want to change something. We need to change that. Oh, this little thing is bothering me. But I feel like every session was worth it. I try to trust my instinct about my edits in terms of if something hits my ear, I feel like it's going to hit someone's ear, and I don't let it slide. Like I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, oh, it's good enough.
Yeah, no,
I don't like it. We're going back in.
And I feel the same way as like a podcaster, man. Like sometimes I'll record something as a podcaster and be like, oh man, I wish I had a redo. And then when I'm live here, it's like, there is no redo. Once it's on the internet, that's it.
You're right. Absolutely. Yeah.
You experience that as an artist too. It's like sometimes you'll get like, there's only one chance for a first impression.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really is a lot like that for performing. Like when I did my first showcase here in Syracuse, and it's like once you hit the stage, you hit the stage. Like you can't be like, let me do that one more time, guys. I can do it better.
Yeah, man. So what's the goal here?
The goal is that I want to get the music out. I want to grow, and really I want to get the music out because I want to impact people. I want to get my music out. I want there to be someone who listens to my album and feels better, or listens to my album and it helps them go through a tough place. I'm not in this to get disgustingly rich. I would love to make a living. I would love to be able to earn enough to pay the bills, but it's not about all the glittery stuff for me. I love this. I love the art. I love the music, and I just want to be able to continue to make it, and I want it to help somebody. You know what I mean?
I feel like that happened a lot with people. It's like they're sitting at home, either off of work, unemployed, unfortunately, or whatever the case may be. And they've always had, I feel like that's been a common thing with a lot of these independent artists is, it's a dual thing. It's like, I want to do something with my time. Plus I have this gift. Let's try to help people out and just, and nowadays it's easy to just put something on Spotify, and get the traction, but at the same time, it's hard to keep traction, right? I mean, there can be a one-hit wonder. And then after that, if you don't keep it up with the second one, right?
Yeah. And I feel like the trap that you fall into is when you're focused on your results, is when you're focused on the numbers, and when you're focused on all these extraneous things that are really a byproduct of the work you put in. You have to focus on the purity of the work that you do. If you want to get off of this grouping of independent artists where it's like a dime a dozen, everyone has a SoundCloud. But if you want to get out of that grouping and make your way up and to be a notable or respected artist, there has to be a purity to your work. There has to be a love and a dedication that you put into it that shows through your work. And you'll never get to that place. You won't push yourself hard enough if you're so focused on extraneous rewards, if you're so focused on how many streams did I get today, or how many. Yes, you have to keep track of those things. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
But if you want to climb and you really want to put out a product that's going to bring in those kinds of numbers, you have to be laser focused on the product. You have to be laser focused on the product.
What kind of music are you into? Are you into more of the West kind of the LA type scene, ATL, New York? Like, who's your go-to?
Oh, my go-to is the Dreamville roster.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
Yeah.
From J. Cole all the way down. Like I always say, like if I could handpick a deal from anywhere, it would be Dreamville. 1,000%.
Yeah.
I respect what they
No
do
doubt.
so much. Like that, like that's like J. Cole's like who I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, man,
You know what
I'm
I
right
mean?
there. I'm a Florida boy, so like I live right now. Live near New Orleans, and I grew up kind of on the ATL scene, you know. So I kind of feel the
Okay.
same way about 50 Ti, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are
Yeah.
my guys. But who do you think is the greatest of all time?
Oh, that's such a tough one. Greatest of all time. Lots of people are gonna debate with me, but I personally, I'm gonna give that mantle right here and now to J. Cole because
Really? I'm
I
talking
think
about all
he is
time,
able
man.
to.
Like you
I
know,
put it to you
Tupac
like this,
Shakur, you know. I'm not
because
stating the pick. I mean, I'll let the pick stand. I'm just giving you one last chance to, you know.
no, I'm sticking with my pick because I think as the number
Because
one
once this goes on the
overall package,
podcast, you know, I'm just saying. Okay,
I am. I'm saying
all
it.
right,
Listen,
go
I
ahead.
love Tupac.
I'm
I
gonna give
love
you the
Eminem.
floor and explain your reasoning.
I love Tupac. I love Eminem. I love Biggie. No disrespect to any of the greats who have come before, but I feel like J. Cole's music has reached a pinnacle of excellence that has not been touched by any other artist. I think that he specifically has created something that is so uniquely excellent and
Hmm.
across so many categories
Hmm.
that I feel like a lot of artists and a lot of these people who we would say are the greatest of all time,
Yeah.
they were great and they were great at their particular thing. Like for instance, Tupac was not the greatest wordsmith, but he was super passionate.
Yeah.
His words were like poetry,
Right,
but
right,
he
right. Like
wasn't like an
California,
Eminem.
Dear
Yeah, whereas
Mama.
Eminem is like a crazy word. Yeah, you know, and it's like he's got staples. And Eminem is like one of the greatest wordsmiths of all time. But Eminem is also again, there's aspects of hip hop that he's not the best at.
Yeah, man,
But as it comes to wordsmith, he's the greatest. Cole to me, the best.
so I talked to this guy out of Utah, and yes, he was out of Utah, and he said Kendrick Lamar. So, you know, there's Kendrick Lamar. There's hundreds of answers, you know, you could give.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And there's so many names that deserve to be mentioned when you talk about the greatest to do it.
Yeah.
But for what it really comes down to what you value most in a hip hop artist. And for me, I think J. Cole is the best hybrid of high intellectual lyricism,
Hmm.
but also he's able to capture a popular sound and a unique cadence in his rhyme scheme. He's able to take
Yeah.
you anywhere from the depths of a depressing emotion to last night's party to I mean he made a song about being an expectant father and doing laundry for his child's mother, and that song was amazing.
Right.
Like not many artists at least in my time, have been able to touch so many sections and so many nuances of this game and be excellent at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I got to give him the mantle. That's why I got to give it to him.
So what's your thoughts on this whole auto-tune thing?
I think that auto-tune is a great tool when it's used as a tool. I don't like the fact that like music has transitioned so much into this auto-tune dependency where it's like if there isn't the sound of blaring auto-tune, it's not cool. Like I think that there are many very great and practical uses and very good artistic uses for auto-tune within a song. I don't like turn the auto-tune up and everything's going to be fine. I think that's the biggest misconception that people have of autotune is that it makes anyone who can't sing a good singer. And that's not the case. Like T-Pain's sound was able to create that unique sound with autotune because of his ability to sing in the first place. That's why his autotune sounds like it does, and no one can actually replicate exactly that. Like it's too much of a crutch for a lot of music.
Yeah, so let's go back to your start here. Talk about getting traction on Spotify. Have you people coming back or?
So with the Spotify, honestly, I feel like it's been kind of a mixed bag. I feel like we are getting a lot of repeat listeners. And I would say that honestly, there's really only like 2 songs on the album that I would say are not really getting a whole lot of rotation, but 5 out of 7 of those songs on the album are getting a lot of listeners and a lot of repeat listeners. So
Nice.
I honestly am super, super, super pumped about that.
You know, your style, you know, one after another, but they're deep thought. Like you were saying, like it's some people you'll get to some songs and it'll be like, yeah, but what is there any substance behind it? I appreciate the substance behind your lyrics, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you noticing that because that's
Man,
a really
because
big
it's
deal
like
for me.
when you say stuff like I'm chasing what I want, I feel like especially people out of college, you were talking about college and stuff. I feel like that's a good message to send rather than just saying, oh yeah, I can rely on getting, you know, there's nothing wrong with community college, but I mean, just saying like it's going after what you want. You want to go to that 4-year school and get that, you know, bright futures or whatever they do, then go for it. You know what I mean? It's not just where if someone's on the, you know, wrong path in life to get them back on or whatever, you know, positive.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's
Absolutely.
that too, where it's keep positive. It's kind of like a positive anthem.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Because I really believe that anybody at any phase in their life, you have what it takes to chase what you want. You just have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to take that first step and not look back. And
Yeah, man.
that's definitely the message I want to get out for sure.
So what do you see 5 years down the line? What do you see your future in music?
I see platinum records on the wall. I see Grammys on the shelf. I see myself having
Dreaming.
Yeah. I see myself having strategy meetings with J.O.A.T and others that I've loved up until now. And
Got any traction as far as contacts?
not yet, but we are still plugging away. We're still plugging away. We've definitely, I should say, what I can say is that we have made some very good strides towards the end of this year. I can't say any more until it's a little more concrete, but we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Hopefully podcasts like this one, like it can only help, right?
Absolutely, man. I get it, man. Great being on here, and I appreciate you having me.
What do you say to people struggling right now through the pandemic? Either they're not working, or unfortunate tragedy in life. What do you say to people struggling right now?
And to the people who are struggling right now, I would say one thing: one day at a time. Keep getting up. Keep opening your eyes. Keep being thankful for the things that you do have. We can sometimes get so bogged down and so run down by the problems in front of us, by what we don't have, by what we need, by what may be hurting us. Never forget to be thankful for what you do have.
Right.
And always remember there's another day coming. So just do the best you can. Be present in now and just do the best you can and live another day to do your best again and let that be okay.
Exactly, man. I think that's good. Good words to live by. So again, when can people expect the next EP? What time frame were you thinking again?
Well, you can expect a new single out in January. It's going to be, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's January 7th. You can expect a new single, give or take a day. And then in February, March the latest, we're hoping to get our EP out. Okay, so we're in the studio working hard.
All right, man. Where can people find your stuff?
You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on Apple Music. If you streams music, you can find me on it. Just search for Phreestyle spelled with the PH. I can also be found on Instagram at The Real Phreestyle.
Any other social medias besides Instagram?
You can also find me on Twitter, Phreestyle1906. On Twitter at Phreestyle1906.
All right, man. And before I go, do you got a fun story from making music or anything? Any fun story you can share?
I can tell you a very fun moment we had making voices in the studio. We were recording my the second verse for it, and there was an intern in the studio who was just in there taking notes and like learning. And when we no one had heard it prior to me coming in that day.
Right.
And I did the verse, and when I looked out of the booth, this man had jumped out of the chair and was like rushing the booth like, oh, that was crazy. So that was definitely hilarious, but it was a good moment for sure.
Was it like, were you freaked out? Like, what?
Honestly, I just laughed because it's like sometimes there's moments in the studio, like there's moments recording where you just like, you felt like that was it. Like,
right.
I feel like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you just know like I nailed that one, right? And so I kind of had some good energy coming off of it. When I looked out, I was like, oh, he must feel the same way because he was like charged, like, yo, that's
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
That was dope. That was a dope one.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll tag you when this releases, and I really appreciate your time today.
Hey, not a problem, man. It was great being here, and man, let's stay in touch.
Yeah, man, no doubt, man. And then when that new song drops, let me know, and I can put a post for it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I'll shoot it to you as soon as it's out.
Man, stay safe, all right, through everything going on.
Hey, you too, man. Stay safe. Keep working. Keep at it, man.
Yeah, man. One day at a time.
You got it. Keep grinding to make it.
All right, man. Thanks. Adios.
No problem, man. Peace.
Okay, y'all. I have some breaking news to share with you. Coming soon, I will be opening up the Sensibly Cynical shop. There I will have coffee mugs available and may even do another round of stickers. So keep an eye out for them. The link will be available on Instagram. Coming up next on the podcast, I will be joined by the fantastic model Ink Panda. I have known her through the podcast for quite a long time, and this will be her third appearance on the podcast. She's a dear friend of mine, and this will be awesome. This will indeed be Ink Panda Unfiltered. Now it is time for this week's Instagram trivia results. Over a month ago now, I posted an album cover and asked the following question. What is the name of this 2003 album released by the legendary rock band Metallica? The answer was Saint Anger. And we had multiple winners. First, Alec Nelly 22 got it right. And my friend Scott Keebler, who you can follow at Keebler Nuts, got it right. And also Fake Ass Radio, which you can follow them as well. Always entertaining stuff. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Sensibly Cynical. As always, I really, really appreciate it. Follow us on Instagram, like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast. We are at Sensibly Cynical Pod. Twitter is at Cynical Sensibly, and please follow us on Facebook. Also, subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. You can subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcasts. Please stay safe and take care.